Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. So Armin Karlek has featured on the channel a few times lately, and always with puzzles that I think have been really hard. And he's written to us and said, the last puzzle Mark did, he described as a brain buster, so I'm trying to give him a rest here. And then he sent us a puzzle with doubler cells in it. So I don't see where the rest is coming from. I'm hoping to get this done reasonably quickly, i.e. maybe less than an hour, because my son is just about to begin a cricket match, I believe, and I'd quite like to go out and watch the second half of it, but I have to get there as well. So I'm hoping that this is about an hour long. We will see. I mean, I daren't hope for less from an Armin Karlek puzzle. What's going on the channel before I try the puzzle? There are, of course, all the links to our apps in the links under the puzzle, as well as our merchandise and Sven's Sudoku pad and Patreon. We're in between Sudoku hunts, but come the 1st of May there will be a new one. Glum Hippo is working very hard at the moment, and we'll see the fruits of that in due course, I believe. Now, what is going on in Spectral Distortions by Armin Karlek? What spectra are being distorted today? Let's do the rules. No, this is the first link under the video. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we'll be trying to put 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box in the puzzle. Now, there are 9 doubler cells in the grid, 1 in every row, column, and box. Let me attempt to place digits where the doubler cells could be. I think that is a feasible set of locations. 1 in every row, column, and box was what I was aiming for there. Now, each digit from 1 to 9 appears in a doubler cell exactly once, and a doubler cell's value counts as double its digit. Okay, so now what are the rules that apply to the markings in the grid? Along a green line, the values of neighbouring cells must differ by at least 5, the normal German whisper rule. For cells separated by an X, the 2 cells' values must sum to 10, the normal XV rule. For cells separated by a white dot, the 2 cells' values must be consecutive, the normal Cryptic white dot rule. And for cells separated by a black dot, 1 cell's value must be double the other, the normal Cryptic black dot rule. However, we have some grey dots. For cells separated by a grey dot, 1 cell's value must be triple the other. Well, that's different from the last grey dots I've seen, but triple. So we could have 3 and 1 there, but it's values that I've been saying every time. So it's the values of 2 cells that have to differ by 5, the value of the 2 cells that one must be double or triple the other, etc. And those values are going to obviously be distorted from time to time by the doublers rule. So that's what's going on today. It still amazes me. Well, it amazes me all the more that with this doublers rule in play, we have so few markings in the grid. We get 1 given digit. We get basically 1 each of white and black dots, 2 X's, 3 grey dots, and a few lines. But those lines are going to have to do some work. I don't know. This is a weird one, but give it a try. I'm hoping an hour or less. We will see. Oh, that's the wrong thing, although I can turn off the pen tool. Let's get cracking. Okay, now the big deal is these straight lines, 3 of which are 8 cells long. In a normal puzzle, with no doublers, I mean, the only way you can get one of these straight lines in is with a specific sequence of digits on it, which I think goes something like this. 4, 9, 3, 8, 2, 7, 1, 6, in one order or the other. Now I could prove that to you, but it's not actually going to help in this puzzle. Okay, what would be interesting about that is you couldn't have 3 8-cell lines occupying the same columns in such a normal puzzle, because you would get repeats of those 4s and 6s in columns, at least, well, indeed, of everything. more importantly, you would have 5s in all of these positions. Okay, so let's think about 5s. What I normally tell you in non-doubler puzzles about German whisper lines is they can't have a 5 on, because 5 can't have a sudoku neighbour. That 4s and 6s are difficult to place for similar reasons. They only have one possible neighbour. And that digits must alternate between high and low. All of that goes out the window with a doubler's puzzle. But we have to work out why. So, you see, the interesting thing is, can 5 go in any of these positions? And I'm inclined to think not. Let's just look at these positions. Because if 5 can't go in any of these positions, then 5 has to go on each of these green lines in rows 1, 5 and 9. Now, if you were to put a 5 here, then its value is 5 or 10, because it might be the doubler. But how can that sit next to a cell, a value that is half or double it? 2.5 and... well, 10 can only be achieved by another 5 being used, so you can't put 2 5s in a column. I don't think this yellow cell can be a 5. On the tripler cell, I think that's even more the case. The value of the the value of the 5 cell would be 5 or 10, and that doesn't have any valid thirds or triples. 15 is not available for doubler sum, so I don't think that can be a 5. And I'm also thinking that you can't put a 5 on an X, even in a doubler circumstance. Yeah, I think that's right. So none of these yellow cells can be a 5. And that means that in each of these 3 cases, 5 is actually on the line. Now, what can 5... well, 5 could be doubled. So its value would be 10, and then it could sit next to 2 low digits. You couldn't get another doubler into the row, but the doubled 5 could sit next to 2 low digits. And therefore 5 becomes a de facto high digit in that row. And I think that's certainly possible in one of these lines. But we can only double the 5 once. So what's happening in the other 2? We've got to double something else to let the 5 play, to let the 5 take part. So we've got to double the cell next to the 5 and make it more than 9. So we're going to be doubling a high digit, 6, 7, 8 or 9. We're going to be putting it next to the 5. What's on the other side of the 5 in that case? And the answer is nothing, because you can't double another digit. So I think for 2 of these lines, 5 is on the end. So that's a sort of, well, a virtual X-wing in a way. There is a 5 on one left end of these 8 cell lines, and there is a 5 on one right end of them. And in the third case, where we don't have a 5 on either end, we have a doubled 5 somewhere on the line. Okay, that's happening. But now, what is happening with these 7 cell straight lines? Because they can't have a doubled 5 on. And I was thinking that they're going to have 5s in these cells, i.e. not on the lines. But that's not possible, because we've just said there is a 5 in one of those cells. And that means there is no 5 in either of these cells. Oh, okay. And therefore, okay, I think now what there is basically it's the same deal again. We can have a 5 on one end of one of these lines, as long as it's sitting next to a doubled digit. But we can't have one on that end of the line, because we've got this position for 5 must go in one of those 3 cells. So we can have one on this end of one of these lines. Oh, obviously only in one case that can be done, because we can only put 1 5 in column 7. And then we can put 1 5 in column 9. So this is a genuine X-wing on 5s, isn't it? One of these lines has to end with a 5 after a doubled digit. And in the other case of these 7-cell lines, the line can't have a 5 on it, and the 5 must appear in column 9. So that is a genuine X-wing of 5s. Either there are 5s in those 2 cells or in those 2 cells, and in neither case can there be a 5 anywhere else in boxes 3 or 9. So those are not possible positions for 5, and that is, therefore, the only place 5 can go in column 8. Therefore, it's not here, and this is a doubled cell. Yeah, let's get rid of those yellows. What I want to colour the grid in is red for doubled cells and green for not doubled cells. So as soon as I get one doubled cell, I can colour a lot of other cells green. And now I've got a 5 here. Now, one of these is a 5 next to a doubled cell. So one of these two is a doubled cell. I can colour all of these green because they're not doublers. And in whichever one of these doesn't have a 5 here and a doubled cell here, it has a doubled 5 somewhere on the line, sitting next to 2 low digits. I might have to colour for high and low as well in a moment. It's a weird puzzle, isn't it? But it is all about starting with 5s. I'm confident about that now. Right, one of these two is a doubler sitting next to a 5, so these are non-doubled cells. And what about the other line that doesn't have the 5 doubler at the end of it? I don't know. I don't know if we know where the doubler goes there. Oh, and yes, in one of these rows, right, in these top and bottom rows though, the doubler either goes here or it's a doubled 5 with 2 cells next to it in one of those places. So none of these are doublers in the puzzle. And we are kind of restricting where doublers can go. Now, oh no, I was going to start greening these cells, but that's nonsense. I can only... I don't know. Right, let's think about what sits next to 5 in a doubler. It's always a high digit. So 6, 7, 8 or 9 goes there. Now, okay, here we've got actual markings on these possible doubler cells. So this is, either this is doubled 6, 7 or 8, or this is doubled 6, 7, 8 or 9. Now, this is on a tripler, so a tripling dot. So if that is doubled 6, well, it can't be doubled 7 or doubled 8 because they would have a value of 14 or 16 and you couldn't get a genuine grey dot digit that was a third of those. So this would be a doubled 6, value of 12, and this would be a 4. Now, alternatively, this cell is a doubled 6, 7, 8 or 9, having a value, oh, well, that never works on an X because it's already bust the value of X. Okay, so this is right up here. We have got a doubled 6 and a 4, and that's where the 5 goes. And now I can eliminate this 5, and this is not a doubled cell anymore. This is a green one. This is definitely doubled. These are green. Somewhere here we have a doubled 5. We've got a doubled 6 here, right. That's a genuine X10 of 2 genuine cells, just as that one is, funnily enough. This can't be doubled 6 anymore, because we know where the doubled 6 in the puzzle goes. One of these is a doubled high digit, right. Can it be there, on the white dot? No, it can't, because the digit, it would be doubled 7, 8 or 9 to sit next to the 5. And then the digit it would have to sit next to is its same digit not being doubled. No, hang on, it's a white dot. It's even more impossible. Sorry, it's not. I was thinking about black dots. If it's a white dot, its value would be 14, 16 or 18, and this would have to be 1 away. That is utterly impossible. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to work this stuff out, but anyway, we've got there in the end. These are the 5s. This is the genuine doubler, because it doesn't have those constraints. Oh, look at all the undoubled cells surrounding that. This one is a 7, 8 or 9. This is the only place in the bottom row for the doubler, the doubled 5 to go now. So we've found it. These now are all not doublers. Oh, those aren't 2. So we're left with, we can't have another doubled 5 now. We're left with only 15 cells to fit the last 5 doublers in. One of those is a definite. One of these 2. Can it be there? Yeah, I mean, if we had a doubled 1 or something, there's no problem. Okay, so now let's think about these German whisper lines. Maybe green was a very poor colour to choose for the colouring, but I think we can still see them. Okay, we've placed the 5, and that's a 6. Now, doubled 6 is 12. Oh, I was going to say that has to be next to a low digit, but it could be next to 7. Ah, on this black dot, can this be doubled? Yes, it can. There are circumstances. It can't be the higher digit of these 2, funnily enough, if this was doubled, if this was a doubler cell. Because then that would be double the value of that, and that would have to have its ordinary value, and it would be basically be the same digit in the 2 cells. But if this had the lower value, so if this was doubled 1 with a value of 2, you could put a 4 in there. Indeed, is that going to be the point? Where does 4 go in the row? I was hoping to do some alternating between high and low digits, but the fact that this could be either has rather thrown that for a loop. Where does 4 go in the row? It can't go here and be next to... Well, it can't go here because there's a 4 in the box. It can't go here because it would have to have 9 on both sides, and the same is true for all of those cells. So the 4 in the row is in one of those 2 places. If it's there, this is a 9. Then these are high value cells, so that's a 7 and that's an 8. And these other ones in the row are 1, 2, 3. If this is the 4, that is a genuine value of 4. This cell would either have to have a value of 8 or 2, which could be done with a genuine 8 or 2 or a doubled 1. So that wasn't very successful. However, there is a 4 in one of these cells, and that is going to require the intervention of a doubler 2. Either the 4 itself is doubled up to be an 8, or the 4 is sitting next to a doubled digit, because it can only have 9 on one side, not on both. This can't be a 4. It can't be a genuine 4. It could be a doubled 4. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to think about this line instead now. That digit is worth 10. So these digits are definitely low. And these ones are definitely high. We can do the old alternation trick. This is low, that's high, this is low. I don't see any way to avoid that. And that means these are the 4 low digits. 5 has become an honorary higher digit. So this one is 6, 7, 8 or 9. Actually, this one is 6, 7 or 8. Now, neither of these can be 6 because they'd have to have 1s on both sides. So 6 is either there or here. If 6 is here, that's a 1 and that's a 9. If 6 is here, its value is 6, and the value of this cell is either 3 or 12. Well, it can't be 12. That would require a 6 in. Oh, no, 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 no. Sorry, this is a grey dot. That is a multiple of 3, isn't it? So if that value is 6, the value of this is either 2 or 18, and that could be a double 9. That's really interesting, but not wonderful news for me, because I don't really know where I should be looking next. Okay, that digit is 1, 2, or 3 because it's low and it's not 4. This one is 7, 8, or 9 because this is a genuine X. One of these is a 4. Now it could be there, in which case 9 is here. Or it could be there, in which case 9 is here. So one of those two is a 9. One of those two is a 4. This is not a 9 now. This is 8, 7, or 6, and it's got a triple. Well, it can't be 7. That can't be a third of 7 or triple 7. Sorry, I'm taking 7 out of that cell. If this was 8, the value here is either 24, which is impossible, or a third of 8, which is impossible. That is 6. Is that right? I mean, that is right. Yeah, okay, that's the 6. This isn't 6, this is 7 or 8. Now, the value of this is either 2 or 18. And annoyingly, I think those are both possible. And since this can be a doubler, it could be 1 or 9 doubled, or a regular 2. This now can't be a 6-4 pair. Is something going on with 4s next? I wonder. I mean, I think we've made good progress. It's taken 17 minutes, but this is not easy, whatever Armin thinks. One of these is a 5. Let's just do a bit of sudoku. One of these 3 is a 5. I probably need to work out which of these 2 is a doubler, or do something down this column. There must be fairly limited means now to get down it. For instance, if this was a 1-9 pair, that's definitely a regular 2. Then you've used 1, 9, 2, 6, and 5. You've got 3, 4, 7, 8. But this is definitely a doubler at that point. I don't think that works with 3, 4, 7, and 8. How the doubler has to come to the, yeah, if that's not a doubler, and that's what happens. If this is a 1-9 pair, that's a regular 2, and this is a doubler. And there's no way to double up to, using 3, 4, and 7, 8, to double up to half of that digit. So that's not a 1-9 pair. We already knew it wasn't a 6-4 pair. So it's either 2-8 or 3-7. I feel it's going to be 3-7. If it was 2-8, this would be a 1 or a 9 and would be the doubler. So this would be a genuine black dot pair, not using 2, 8, or 6. There is no such pair. It can't be 1, 2, 2, 4, 4, 8, or 3, 6. So this cannot be a 2-8 pair. This is a definite 3-7 pair. And that's not a 7. That is a doubled 8 or a 9. Making a value of 16 or 18, which allows this to be anything. Ooh, but this is 3 or 7, which is either high or low. I don't know. We're going to alternate along the rest of this line, but this doesn't really affect what that digit can be, so I don't know how the alternation works. Or well, okay, yes, we are going to alternate between high and low digits, and we've lost one of the high digits. This must be a low digit so that these can alternate. Fair enough, just between themselves. So that's a 3, that's a 7. Now, this black dot doesn't use a 6 or a 3. It's from the family 1, 2, 4, 8. And even if we're doubling this cell, to stay in the family of 1, 2, 4, 8 and 16, let's allow 16, we are going to have to use a digit that is from 1, 2, 4, 8. Thanks to doubling. So this is from 1, 2, 4, 8. Then we've used 5, 3, 7, and 6. We've got a 9 to place somewhere in the column. and otherwise the digits from 1, 2, 4, 8. How do we use that next? I don't know. Gosh, this all slowed down in a hurry, didn't it? That's down to me. But still making useful deductions, I think. So, if this is if this is not the doubler, and that's the doubler here, maybe I need to find the next double digit on a line. Now, does this have to have, right, we've got 6 and 4 there, so this digit can't be 6 or 4. Yes. If these are genuine digits and don't involve a doubler, then these are alternating. They're either all the 4 highs or the 4 lows. And if that was the case, if this was the doubler in the row, this digit is going to have to be one of these 4 or 6s, one of these monogamous digits. Well, it would have to be the 6, and that would be a 1. So if this is a doubler, this is a 6. Now the trouble is, there is the alternative that one of these is a doubler, and we're alternating happily along the rest of the line. What are the digits we still have to put in box 1? 1, 2, 3, 7 or 8. That doesn't tell us much about this alternation. Okay, what about this row? Haven't looked at that in a while. This is high. Now, that allows this to be high, but then that would use up all the high digits here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And everything else in the row would be from 1, 2, 3, and 4, including this cell. I don't know what to do with that. Oh, there's a 5 in one of those 2 cells. That's not very interesting, but it is truth that is known. Come on. We can make some progress if we keep thinking hard. 12 and 4, 5, 6. We need to alternate along this line. Oh yes, this was where we didn't know if this was high or low. So if that was a 7, then this is the 8-9 pair. If that wasn't the 7, this is the 7-8-9 triple. So basically there's no chance of this being high, and this can't be 8. This is 1, 2 or 4. Genuine value of 1, 2 or 4. Now how can this still be a doubler? I think the only way is doubled 1 sitting with a 4 there, because this has to come to a doubled value lower than this digit. So the only way in this column for this to be a doubler is if this is 4, 1. Then you have 5, 3, 7, 6. That's a 2, and you've got an 8-9 pair to put in those cells. Now, alternatively, this is not the doubler, and this is the doubler, and is 1 or 9. And then this is a genuine pair. I just don't know whether it's got 4 on it or not. Okay, if this is a 4, that's a 9, and this is a double 8. Is that interesting? This becomes a doubled 7 or 9. I don't think it does anything quite. But if that's a 4, this is a 9. Now that is a 1 or a 2. And, well, that's interesting. Yeah, if that's a 4, this can't be a doubling cell. Then you've got 4, 9. That must be a 7 at this point, and that's 8. That couldn't be a 3, so this would have to be a 3. I mean, it's very prescriptive. If you get a 4 there, you can count out 9, 3, 8, and 7 there, and they're all just fact. 49387. But if that's a 4, what's going on the black dot? The black dot is, well, I don't know that it's genuine. Then we could still get a doubled 1 here, or a genuine 2 or 8. It's difficult. Okay, maybe it's the bottom row where we've got this 7, 8, 9 triple. So everything else is from 1, 2, 3, 4. That one can't be the 4. Now, is any of this actually helpful? I don't think it is. So I'm very stuck, Armin, here. The distortions are not quite, or the distortion's not quite spectral enough for me. Okay, this is just a value that's outside the ranges of anything that matter. So these can be anything. But one end of them has to be a 4 or a 6. In fact, both ends of them. We still have 4 and 6 to place in this row. So they must be at the ends here. And what's inside the 4 and 6? It's got to be a 9 and a 1. And now this becomes an 8. This is a doubled 8, definitely. And that's not a doubled 8 now. That's a doubled 7 or 9. These two seem to have to be a 2 and a 7 by elimination. Not a group that normally goes together, but they're perfectly happy next to each other on the line. Right, that was very doable. This is now not a 9-1 pair because it would break that cell. Now I have a 7-8 pair in the box, which is not going to do anything, but exists. It is going to do something actually, because if this... Is it going to do something? No. I thought it was going to make one of these versions impossible. No, if that's 7-3, that's an 8. And if that's 8-2, that's a 7. So these are fine. They're either a 7-2 or a 3-8 pair. If they were a 7-2 pair... Yeah, no, it's fine. That doesn't do anything for me, I don't think. But that was an interesting line, and I need to think about some of these other lines and what goes on the end of them. This one is messed around because it could still get, and probably will get, a doubler on it. 5, 6, 8 are the doublers we've found so far. So maybe this line, maybe I need to think more about this one. We've got, okay, if these are high digits, then 6 is included. And it's going to have to go at one end of that group with a 1 inside it. No, it's not so helpful. What if these are the high digits, which seems a bit more likely, in fact? This would actually seize 6 and a 7-8 pair. That would have to be a 9, so that would make that a doubled 7. Maybe that is a way to look at these 3 cells. What high digits go here? If there's one high digit in these 3 cells, it's there and it's a 9. If there are 2 high digits, they are here and are a 6 and a 9. Is that right? So one of these has to be a 9. The 7-8 pair was incredibly helpful. I just didn't understand how. It is true. I mean, the simpler way to see it is that one of these 2 cells has a high digit, which isn't 7 or 8 now, which can't be 6 in those positions, or it would need a 1 on either side. So there is a 9 in one of those 2 cells, and this is now the doubled 7. Worth 12. So this can't be an 8. The only high digit it could be, ironically, is the 6. Otherwise it's low. It can't be a 4 there because we would need a 9 here. So that's 1, 2, or 3, or 6. If that's a 6, this is a 1. That would have to have a value of 3 and would have to be a green regular 3. This can't be a 6 because we would then need high digits here and here. And we wouldn't be allowed 6. So that's not possible. So this is low. This is high. Can't be 6. This is 8 or 9. It can't be 9 because we put 9 in one of those cells. This is an 8. How can that doesn't work? Oh no, that doesn't work on the grey dot. I've messed this up. How has this got messed up? I was absolutely sure on everything I've done here. This cannot be an 8 on the grey dot, I don't believe. That can't have a value of 24 and it can't have a value of 2 2/3. That cannot be an 8, but I also believe it can't be a 9 because one of those is a 9. I also believe it can't be a 6 because it would be surrounded by 1s. And I've decided that was a 7. Wow, what have I misunderstood here? Let's just go back to thinking about this line again from this point, where I decided this couldn't be a 1-9 pair, and it's obviously not a 6-4 pair. So it's either 2-8 or 3-7. And this cell, I felt, couldn't be a 6 either, and can't be a 9, but is... Well, why did I think that was high? Well, it can't be a 4. I mean, I thought this was all right. What am I missing a possibility here? That is worth 16 or 18. We can't have another doubled 8. This is worth 16 or 18. That's fine. But one of these has to be high and has to be a 9. And then that becomes doubled 7. Then this can't be a 6-9 pair because that would be 8 sitting... Oh, 8 sitting next to doubled 7 is fine. Okay, that's the miscalculation I did in my head. I think I made doubled 7 a 12. I may even have said that out loud. Right, I think 8 can sit here. So let's go through this again. I still think there's a high digit here and it's 9. That is therefore a doubled 7 and is worth 14. And if I said it was worth 12, that's because I'm a moron. Now, what can that sit next to? It can sit next to 8, and I thought it couldn't a moment ago. This cannot be 6 because it would be surrounded by 1s. It can't be 7 or 9 by sudoku now, and it can't be 8 because that's impossible. So it is low, this is high. This could be a 6 with a 1 there, or it could be an 8. But if that's high, these two are both high. They have to be 6 and 9. We know the order. We get a 1 in between them. This is now an 8, and I think we're okay on this line. The other digits along here are 2, 3, and 4. And this one, if that's a 2, this has a value of 6. If that's a 4, this has a value of 12, which is impossible because we've had the double 6. So that's not a 4. If it's a 3, this has a value of 1 or 9. Okay, I'm a bit stuck with that, but I have at least rescued the possibility. This has become a 9, so that's a 4. We know the order of this line. Shouldn't have taken me this long, should it? But we're moving now. That's not a 1. None of these are 2s. In this, that's 2 or 3. We've placed 4 in that box. 5, 4, 9, 2. One of these is a 6. That's not going to help us. 6, 4, 9, 1. 2, 8. 2 in the column could be there. Now we're going to need to think seriously about this line, though, surely. 5, 3, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know what they are. We've now got the doubled 7. We've still never placed the doubled 9, which could be there. This can't be a 7 or an 8 by Sudoku now. That is the 9. That has to sit next. This can't be 4 anymore because that can't be 9. So this can't be 4. So the 4 in the row is here. That's a 4. That's not a 4 now. One of these two is a 4, and that's going to be important at some point fairly soon. Whichever one of these is a 7 can't sit next to 3. Okay, I don't know where we're going with that thought. The red cells, we've still only had 5, 6, 7 and 8 placed. Oh, so the red in this box, which can't be 2, 4 or 9, is going to be 1 or 3. This sort of thing becomes quite interesting at some points. The red in this column can't be an 8 there, obviously. So it's going to be 1, 2 or 9. Yeah, no, we're not at the stage yet where this really helps. These are genuine white dot digits that can't use 6 or 7. Oh, no, that's a value of 12. Yeah, that's odd that I still don't know the highs and lows of this row. They leave that being low. Is that right? Have I worked out genuine? Yes, this can't be 8 or 9. Yeah, okay, so actually in this row, haven't I got 1, 2, 3, oh, it's 6 cells left, and I've got to place 3 highs and 3 lows. I'm so slow at understanding what I have to do here. This digit is either 1, 2, 8 or 9. 4 could either be there or off the line. If that's a 4, oh look, I've got an 8 here looking at that cell just by Sudoku. So that's an 8, that's a 7, that's on an X, that's a 3. Those are a 1, 2 pair. This is very straightforward if I would just spot what there is to do. That is not 3 or 7. We've got a 5, 8 pair in those cells now. And that's a definite 2, and that is on a line. So that means it's surrounded by a 7, 8 pair. And these are a 1, 3 pair in the rest of the box. And that is now low. So this is not 1 or 2. This is high, 8 or 9. This is low. It can't be 1 by Sudoku. It can't be 4. It's 2 or 3. This is high. It sees 6 and 7. That is 8 or 9. That is a pair. This is a high digit now and is a 7. That's where 4 goes. That makes this a 2. That finishes off row 7. It's all a little bit more straightforward than I was thinking. Obviously, I've slightly overcomplicated the whole business of this puzzle, and then not spotted things as they've been revealed by stuff I've done. 2 and 1 make this a 9, and it is a double. That is a doubler. So that's not a doubler and is 2 or 8, but it's 8 by Sudoku. So that's a 1 in the remaining cell. One of these is a doubler. We'll get to you in a moment. This is 1, 2 or 3 in the row. The 8s and 9s are not putting much pressure on that. In this box, we've got 5, 8, 4, 9, 2, a 6 in one of those cells, a 1 in one of these two, a 7 in one of these two, and a 3 somewhere. Oh no, that's a 2. That's a 7 by Sudoku. So this is a 1, 3 pair, including obviously the doubler. This is a 6, 7 pair that are resolved. Good, 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 good. In fact, that 1 is sorting out which one is 3 and which is 1, but not which one is the doubler. Fair enough. I'll take it. Now, on this line, where we know something about alternation now. Now, what else do we know? We can have a high digit, but we've used 6, 7, 8, 9, and 5 in the high digits. So if there was a doubler, it's a 1, 3, or 4 in this row. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 still to place as doublers. The doubler would be a 1, 3, or 4, doubling up to a value of 2, 6, or 8. So this digit has to have a value that is 5 away from the 8, and it can't be higher. So its value is 1, 2, or 3. So we've got to put a 1 or a 2 in there. It could be a doubled 1. Okay, the value of this is now at least 6. And this sees a 7, 8, and a 9. I'm very confused. Ah, right, because we can't put 6 in here, or those would both have to be ordinary 1s. Therefore, this is the doubler. Finally, we found it. How is that even going to help? It could be doubled 4, or a 1 and doubled 3. But then you couldn't get a digit here if that was doubled 3. Actually, we've got a 2 there. This must be a 1. We're going to have to put a doubler here. I've got to double 4, but I don't see how I'm then... Oh yes, I do see how I'm then going to continue. I've got to double 4 there. I've got to have a single 3 here. Then I can have a 9 here. And then I have got out of the row alive. Oh, I mean, why does it take so long? Every step takes so long. I estimated this would take an hour. In terms of the steps I've actually done and achieved, it should have taken less. But that's probably what it will take. This seems to be a doubler left behind here. Now, we've had doubled 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. 1 or 3 there. We can't have 1 or 3 doubled in this column, so we're going to get a doubled 2 here. That is a doubled 1 or 3. It's in a column with a 1. That is a doubled 3. This must be the doubled 1, and that cell is not a doubler. And then this is not a doubler, so the doubled 2 is going to be here. And that is all the doublers found. I hope I still haven't got a mistake, and I'm not 100% sure, but presumably the puzzle will work out if I've done this right. 1, 2, that seems to be a 2 by Sudoku. They're okay either way round. We've got 5, 6, 7 here as a triple. I know which way they go. Okay, this is a 3, 8 pair. They're resolved, and these ones are 1, 5, 6. Straightforward Sudoku. This is a 3 and a 5. Now, I can surely use these dots. These are genuine Sudoku digits. So that's the 4, and that's the 9, and that's the 8. And this does seem to work, so it's a huge relief, frankly. Because I've been floundering around a bit. But here we go. I think we're finished. Okay, well, I made that look hard. But it took some careful thought and then some disambiguation. It's funny that this worked as it did. And I was struggling to see it. That was only the latest of various spectral distortions that still messed with my mind. So, I mean, you didn't manage to avoid messing with my mind today. But that was good fun. I do like that sort of puzzle. And a pleasure to do it today and to put it on the channel. As always, thank you for following us. We really appreciate your company and we hope to see more of you. So come again tomorrow. Bye for now.